say, I don't want to see bond. I don't think bond is appropriate. Do you think bond is appropriate in this case? Think he's likely to get it?
I do think it's appropriate, and I think there's a decent chance he'll get it. Of course, one can't read a judge's mind, but I think legally he's entitled from all that I am aware of right now. Now, if new facts or evidence come out during the hearing, my opinion could change. But there's basically three things that are going to be looked at. One, you look at risk of flight. I don't think there is any risk of flight here. As I understand it, Mr. Zimmerman was in touch with law enforcement throughout when he was awaiting to see if a warrant was going to issue. When it issued, he ended up turning himself in voluntarily. Before that time, he could have gone to any part of the world without any legal restrictions on him. So I think that pretty much establishes that he's not a risk of flight. Then you have danger to the community. Well, are there a set of bond conditions that could be established that shows that, in fact, he would not be a danger? Well, keeping guns away, keeping him in house arrest, electronic monitoring would seemingly satisfy that. Now, then there's a legal standard, if I could, and that is the proof evident and the presumption great that he is guilty of the second-degree murder charge? Well, I think there's a great national debate, and in fact, the Sanford Police Department said that they weren't even going to arrest him. So I think that the question is clearly anything but clear, absolute, I should say, that the proof is evident, the presumption great. So I think in light of all those standards, he should be entitled to a bond.
Hey, Mark, Will Kane, on this standard you're talking about, proof evident, presumption great, I've read it's greater than reasonable doubt. So the prosecutor would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, much beyond that they could actually get a conviction in this case. Here's my question. Do you even expect the prosecution to attempt to prove that? In which case I would assume they'd have to put a lot of evidence out right now.
A very good point. I think they would have to tip their hand. From what we have seen with the public right now, they don't have a whole lot there. If they want to bring out more, then they're going to have to bring it out in the hearing because, as you indicate, the burden is theirs, not the defense's. They have to establish it, and they're going to have to do it by evidence and putting on witnesses and testimony and additional documents. That's going to be a big risk for them to do at this point, and they might end up telling their enemy a battle plan and still have a bond set.
Why is this a moral discussion? I know that the defense counsel the family's lawyer talks about this as a moral need to keep this guy in jail as opposed to giving him bail. What would be the moral reason? What is that about?
Well, I think you hit a great point. I mean, when Mr. Crump was saying that, I like Mr. Crump personally and think he's an excellent lawyer. But the moral issue really has nothing to do with this. It's a legal issue. We are in a court of law, and the law should be followed. And if, in fact, we let this to be passions and emotions, then we've really lost sight of what our criminal justice system is supposed to be about. I understand the desire and the passions, but if we allow the judges to be dictated by passions and emotions rather than the law, then we really lost the essence of what our legal system stands for.
So Ben Crump also went on to say that the family was not going to meet with Zimmerman. He had offered or suggested a meeting with the family members before this bond hearing, and Ben Crump said, listen, that's not going to happen. Do you think that was a smart maneuver? Doesn't matter ultimately in the court of law, or do you think that they should have, in fact, taken that meeting?
I think that a meeting at some point will take place between the attorneys and discuss things more deeply. I think it's a bit early, but I think there's nothing wrong with the overture. You don't get anywhere without communicating, whether it's a personal relationship, a political relationship, or otherwise. If you don't communicate, you're at war and you fight. When you communicate, you have a better chance of resolving your differences. I think there will be a time. It's simply that Mr. Crump, not inappropriately, said the time is not now, and I think Mr. O'Mara appropriately made an overture. So I think that they're both in positions where they're jockeying or they're doing what they think is best for their particular side. There will be a time they'll be talking. We may not necessarily know about it, but there